Hey guys, welcome back to Kristen Life Acres. I am Kristen. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you for coming back and checking out my video. I know it's been a while. And if you are new to my channel, I do all sorts of videos about homesteading, how to be self-sufficient, chickens, ducks, food storage, survival, you name it. So anyway, let's go ahead and get right into the video. It got dark outside and I'm waiting on my new camera light to come in, so I decided to move inside, took a shower, changed my clothes, and now we can get right into the video. So how to feed your chickens from your yard, land, cheap, free, all of that good stuff is coming up right now. The number one way to feed your chickens for free is to let them free range. You don't want to do this all day and night. Obviously there's predators that can get to them, so you can let them out for an hour or two a day, or you can have a portable coop where you can move them, move the coop, every couple days to where there's new grass and bugs and weeds and all kinds of good stuff for them to eat. Number two would be any of your excess kitchen scraps. So you're making dinner and you're cutting some fat off of, ends of meat. Anything that's you're preparing vegetables and you're taking the stem off, or maybe a few parts that aren't moldy but maybe starting to get a little soft or brown. Any of that can go into a bucket and into the chicken feed. Number three, food scraps from local restaurants. So this is depending on where you live, but if you happen to know anyone that is a local restaurant owner, or you have a small locally owned restaurant nearby you that you could form a relationship with, to where you could ask if, instead of them throwing away any of their kitchen scraps, if they would put it in a bucket or a bag, which you would provide, and leave it outside their door on a certain day or 2 or 3 times a week, and you would come get it. You have to be consistent, or they probably won't continue to do it because they can start to get, varmints and bugs and stuff. So that is a great way to get free food. Number 4, quick growing greens. And by that I mean anything that would grow like a microgreen would grow. So you're talking about kale, broccoli, any kind of, spinach. They're just full of nutrition. A microgreen basically is between from seed to full fruition of the plant. It's like seed and then sprout, and then you've got your microgreen. So it's the smallest portion of a developed plant before it goes into its full size. The microgreen has 40% more nutrients. I might be off by a few percentages, but than the full-sized lettuce or vegetables. So that is only going to make your eggs healthier for you when you ingest them. All right, number 5, fermenting their food. So whether you're giving them a cheaper version of feed, like from a feed store, or you're giving them a mix of that, or making your own and adding in some fresh fruits and meats and vegetables, adding a cup or 2 of water to it and letting it ferment for 3 to 4 days will not only expand the food that you have in your feed bucket, it will actually make it easier for the chickens to digest, and it provides more nutrients. The body can take in those nutrients easier when it's in a fermented state. Number 6, cooked beans. So whether they're leftover or you have a store nearby where you can, if they have any good sales or clearance or scratch and dent kind of things, you can either get them in a can, you can get them fresh, or you can get them in a bag for usually like $1. And usually that's like a pound for $1. You can look at your Dollar General, your Dollar Tree, or wherever you shop, and you can have find a good discount or deal, that's where you need to look. Now you can't feed them dry or uncooked. They need to be cooked, but you can soak them for a day, rinse them, cook them. Even if you cook them halfway, they have to be digestible. Otherwise, they're not getting into the nutrients, and that can also. Sorry, my dog's making noise in the background. Otherwise, they just kind of go right through them, and they're not getting the nutrients, and that can actually change the egg production rate. Number 7 would be to buy individual ingredients and make your own dry mix, whether it's pellet or you were to put it in a blender. It depends on the age of your chickens. If they're in the laying phase, then you need to get a layer feed. So you'll have to look at the difference in from baby chick to about 16 weeks, and then the layer feed up until they stop producing eggs. So there is a difference, and I am going to make another video about that, but that's not part of today's video. So some things that would be necessary to make your own mix. You at least need to know that each chicken needs approximately a 1/4 pound of feed per day. So depending on how many chickens you have, you need to multiply that. And then they need 16 to 17% of that 1/4 pound to be protein. So we're looking at meats, and yes, they do eat their own meat. Chickens do eat chicken. Red meat, pork, hot dogs, a decent quality, preferably, any kind of fish, canned anchovies, canned sardines. All of those things are so high in protein and great for them. Another thing you can do is get some kind of millet or whole wheat, black sunflower oil, black oil, sunflower seeds. Very high. I want to say they're like 30% or more protein. So you just need to, if you're going to make your own mix, you need to look at the bag and take the amount of the bag you're going to put into your mix and do the math and make sure that they're getting enough protein. 16 to 17% is ideal, but it can always be more, preferably not less, because it's going to slow the egg production if it doesn't have that minimum amount of protein. Okay, anyway, let me get that from the dog and I'll be right back. Sorry if you guys can hear the dog eating in the background, but he just wants to be part of the video, I guess. They never distract me until I get on the phone or try to make a YouTube video, so there you have it. Number 8 would be to feed them their own egg shells. Now, this is because if you don't do that, then you need to provide them with another calcium supplement like oyster shells, and they can be kind of spendy. So what you want to do is every time you eat one of the eggs, use an egg for whatever recipe or whatever you're doing, keep the egg shell, keep them like in a Tupperware container with a paper towel on the bottom so bugs and fruit flies don't come around, gnats, that kind of thing. They're very attracted to that. Don't rinse them, just put them in that container, and then when you get 8, 10-ish is what we do, turn your oven on to like 250, 275 for 3 to 5 minutes, and put them on a piece of foil, open side up, and what that does is gets rid of any bacteria and it makes them more crispy, because what you want to do is crunch them at the end to a small enough size that they don't recognize that it's their own egg-shell. Because if you don't do that, you may start to see that they try to eat their own eggs after they hatch, or sorry, not hatch, after they lay them, they may try to eat their own eggs. So you need to grind them very finely, whether you want to do that by hand or with a spatula, in foil. You can put it in a food processor, however you want to do it. Just make them very small so that it's obvious or not obvious to them. No! So it's not obvious to them that it's their own eggshell, but they need that calcium. It actually helps. Would you stop? So this is the puppy dog that is causing all the ruckus. I know. Oh, okay, I know. So they need all that extra calcium to keep their comb, the red pinkish thing on top of their head. They need that to keep the the calcium. I can't concentrate with you. He's a puppy, so he's just full of energy. He's not YouTube friendly yet. My other dog's sleeping. He's like, when mom starts the camera, we are quiet and we leave her alone. He hasn't learned that yet. Anyway, the comb needs the proper amount of calcium and nutrients to stay straight and strong. If it does not, they get sick and they could die. Stop. Hopefully I have fixed my shepherd problem for the moment. Number 9 would be to grow your own fruit trees, or if you have a garden and you have excess of whatever you're growing for your family to eat, you can feed that to your chickens. If it's like, say, winter and your summer crops are kind of dying, you can put some of your chickens into your garden and let them kind of do the cleanup. They'll eat the bugs, the weeds, any kind of grass that starts growing in there, and they get tons of nutrients from it. So it's awesome. But when generally you grow fruit trees, if you either buy a small tree or you grow it from seed, eventually when it starts producing, it usually produces generally much more than your family can eat, even when you give some away to friends and family. So it's a great way to use that excess to feed your chickens, because really that's just nutrients going back into the eggs that they lay that you're feeding your family. So it's not waste. Number 10 would be meats. Again, yes, chickens are meat eaters. They eat their own, what's the word? They eat their own meat. Chickens eat chickens. You can even, like, say you buy a rotisserie chicken at the store and you didn't get all the meat plucked off the bone, you can throw that whole thing. Would you stop? You can I need a bloopers video. You can put that whole thing, bones and all, in the run, and they'll pluck it off till it's good to go. Then the little bugs will come to try to eat whatever is left on there, and they'll eat the bugs. It's a win-win. I think I mentioned earlier, hot dogs, sardines, fish, red meat, pork, anything extra. You can't give them anything that's moldy or smells bad or anything that you wouldn't feed your family. If your family or kids are particular about like a banana that's going bad, or meat that's maybe been left over and it's already cooked, so you know it's still okay, but it's kind of getting a little tough, those are the kind of things that you can add to their meal, and it's free because otherwise it would just go to waste in the trash can. If you compost, you can also put it in the compost, and as the compost gets to the point where it's viable nutrients, you can feed that to your chickens. I have a whole video that I'll link above here of how to compost and how to do it successfully and as quickly as possible. And then as a bonus, and I'm pretty sure I've kind of gone over this, but any leftovers you have, anything that you can eat, you can pretty much feed your chickens. A lot of people say not to give them garlic or onion. It's not going to hurt them. They say that it can change the flavor of the eggs. I like garlic and onion, so it doesn't bother me. I don't specifically give it to them as food, but if it's an ingredient that happened to be in some leftovers that we had cooked the night before, it's not a big issue. If they don't like it, they're not going to eat it. So you'll know. If you give them something and you come back a few hours later or the next day and it's still there, they don't like it. So you got to do something different. They're not really finicky, but every chicken's a little different. So you got to just kind of go with the flow and see what your chicken's like. This is pretty much the same for ducks. I have several chickens and several ducks, and they all live together. They sleep together. They go in their coop. They come out in the morning to the run. They all eat together. So it's very similar. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video and got something good out of it. If you did, please like and subscribe, and I promise I'll be making more videos on a frequent basis. And thank the Lord, it's almost 2021. I'll see y'all next time.